Hello! Oh my god, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to record this video today. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you today. I know we spoke about weight loss and we've looked at the mind detox and we've looked at junk food in general, we've looked at binge eating. Today I do want to speak to you something which is still linked to your eating habits, but it's something that's really, really important for most of us. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about, well, we call it depression, tiredness. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? So what comes first, feeling really down and depressed, or comfort eating? Because when we comfort eat and we eat a lot and we get into horrible eating habits, is because we're feeling a bit down on ourselves. And then we feel a bit down on ourselves because we're eating all the junk food, right? So it's a vicious circle, chicken and egg scenario. So though maybe you've done the mind detox audio session, which I think was my number 5 video. This is number 9 or 10. But if you've done that session and it's worked for you and you're off the junk food, then brilliant. Let us look at now just building up your self-worth and your life force and your energy and just feeling really good about yourself so that you stay on track now with your healthy eating. So I've spoken to an awful lot of people recently, just anybody I bump into in the shop or whatever, and everybody's just telling me they're just so tired or they're fed up. And it just seems to be the way everybody is just now. Maybe you're the same, I don't know. But let's look at how you can lift that, how you can lift your spirits, how you can feel alive, right? I think too many people are caught up in being an adult, right? You think about when you were a child, you had a lot more freedom, you would run about and you would jump in a puddle and you would run round the bus shelter and you would pretend you're an aeroplane. And well, we can't do that now, can we, as an adult? Like, if you did that now, people would think there's something not quite right with you. So we have to be sensible and behave in a certain way, and that takes all the fun out of everyday life. I know we can still have fun, like when you're with your friends, you go out for a drink or you have a coffee, you can have a laugh. But generally in everyday life, you know, we've lost that freedom to just be like a child and be silly and jump in puddles and sing in the bus and say hello to everybody we meet and ask people questions. So how do we get your spirit back? Have you lost your spirit? Have you still got your spirit? And what do I mean by your spirit? Your spirit is your life force, right? Your life force, that positive energy in your soul, in your mind, in your body, right? So we're going through this life, and most of us are probably working in an office or working from home. We might be looking after our own kids or our grandkids. We may be looking after an elderly parent, or maybe our partner is ill, and there's so much shit going on in a lot of people's lives, right? But can we find a way to cope with these things that are going on in our life, but also really, really, really enjoy life? Because sometimes we feel guilty enjoying life because we're thinking, well, I can't run about and be happy and sing and laugh when my mum's got dementia and my partner's ill. And so the point of this video today is to help you to find your spark. And again, I've saw so many posts on Facebook saying, I've lost my spark, I've lost my life purpose, right? So let's start making some positive changes. What can you do? What can you do now to really, really, really lift your spirits? Not just today, but this week, this month, the next 20 years, how can you really lift your spirits? Why don't you get a pen and paper and write down all the things that you can do to lift your spirits? One of the things I would suggest, you might not agree, is avoid listening to the news. Don't listen to the news. It's all negative, and it has a big effect on your subconscious emotional mind. Don't listen to the news. Okay? Stay away from negative people, and you know who they are. Is there any negative people in your life? Now, if it's colleagues, well, I guess you've still got to kind of see them every day. If you've got negative colleagues in your life, in your office, anywhere around you, in your 9 to 5, avoid them like the plague, okay? You're going to stay away from negative energy. You're going to stay away from negative people. If you also make the big decision to reduce or cut out the negative people in your life socially, so you might have a friend, a couple of friends, a few friends that, if you're really honest with yourself, they ain't good for you. They maybe kind of dwell on your misfortunes a bit, so they like to hear all your misfortunes. You know, they pretend they really care and they're really listening and, oh, what's going on with you, and they get you to get into all the detail of your misfortunes, right? Now, sometimes they just love to hear your misfortunes, right? Because it makes them feel better. I'm not saying everybody in your life is negative, right? But you know in your heart of hearts which ones are, right? Have you got friends in your life? Now be honest with yourself. Have you got friends, so-called friends, in your life that you're only with them so that you're not alone? So you're only with them so that you can say that you've got some friends, right? Or you're only with them because you've known them for years and years and years, and you know it'd be really difficult to cut them off now. What would you say to them? Well, trust me, I have just done it over the past 2 years. I have cut Rob, Greg, Andrea, Angela, 4 main people in my life. I've cut them out of my life, and it was really difficult because, you know, it's difficult to, how do you say it to them? How do you say, look, I really don't think our friendship's worth it anymore. I don't want to be around your company and your energy anymore. I know I've known you for 40 years, but, you know, you just don't get me and you don't support me, and I just don't really think you're a true friend. Yes, it's a difficult thing to do, and I'll tell you the hardest part of it. Once you've done that and you've sent the message, or you've had the chat, and you've done it in the nicest possible way, and you've cut the person out of your life, right? And then you cut someone else out of your life for the same reason, and then someone else out of your life for the same reason, and you suddenly find yourself alone. And when you're alone, tumbleweed moment, and it's so quiet and nobody's sending you a text message or a WhatsApp message, nobody's phoning you, you've got no plans to meet anybody for coffee, and you're on your own with a ticking clock and the TV and no plans. And that's the tough bit, and that's the bit a lot of people tend to give in, and they'll suddenly, I'll just text her and see how she is. And you text them, before you know it, you're meeting up for a coffee again. You're looking forwards to it. It's nice to see her again. It's nice to sit and have a coffee and catch up and everything. You give each other a big hug and say, oh, I don't know what was going on with me. I must have been going through some kind of change or something, you know, I'm sorry I cut you out of my life, it was silly of me, and you know, let's remain good friends. And you're back there again, and then before you know it, those old feelings start creeping in, where that person is letting you down, they're not supporting you, you're picking up their negative energy, you're realising, I actually shouldn't really have this person in my life, but I kind of go through all that again and say, listen, I think we should cut off ties. So, my point is, how much do you really want to be happy and energised and full of life? And what do you need to do? What do you need to cut out your life to be there? Now, when you cut negative people out of your life and there's not a lot of people left, it's going to free up a lot of time for you, right? You can go walking, you could go to the gym, you could get more sleep, you could do meditation, you can clean that cupboard out in the kitchen, you can do your garden. There's so much you can do with that time. And most importantly, you can start to learn to be on your own, to love your own company, to find out who you are, right? And when that happens, you will raise your frequency, your vibration, so you will raise your frequency. You will feel better, energised, more alive, and more in alignment with you, right? Yes, it does take a lot of work, because that being alone part is quite difficult, but it's so worthwhile. Because when you cut out all the negativity in your life, all those people, when you learn to be alone, you find your inner strength, you raise your energy levels, you raise your frequency levels, and you will start to attract the right people into your life. Okay? And just think, maybe in a year from now, or maybe less, you're sitting there in company with 5 new people around you having a coffee that are all in alignment with you. You're connected with them. And you realise, this is the type of people I should be with. And you'll feel alive and energised, and there's purpose in the conversation because you all think the same way. So, cut the negativity out of your life, right? Sit down and have a real good think. Get a pen and paper, write down some key people in your life, and be very, very honest with yourself, right? Maybe you want to put a cross or a tick next to their name. Put a cross next to their name if you feel that it would be better for you if they were not in your life. Okay? Maybe that's all you need to do initially, is just make that list with your ticks and crosses so that you just know where you're at. And when you're ready, you can just pick one of those with the cross next to their name and find that strength to very nicely and very politely and very peacefully let them go out of your life. Okay? And then when you're ready, when the next person on the list has a cross next to their name, you go through the same procedure. If you end up with just one friend or no friends, right, remember you had a cross next to their name and their negativity. So find the strength to be alone, find the strength to work on you, and see, with all that amazing free time you have, you will find so much support on YouTube channels that you can listen to, friendly faces here on the screen that are talking to you, that you can listen to, you can connect with, and you can start doing some inner work on yourself. Read some self-help books, go walking, eat healthy, start working on you, find your happiness, find your spark. That's the whole point of this conversation here with you today. Find your spark again. Where is it? Where is your life? Where is your dreams and your aspirations? Get that music on that you love. Dance. Look in the mirror. See the good parts of you that you love. Get all the negative stuff out of your life. Stay away from negative people in the office. Cut the negative so-called friends out your life and stick to your guns and start focusing on you and your life. Okay? As I say, I'm just looking for my remote control. As I say, I have done it. Cut those people out of my life, and I am now left with one friend. And I don't see her that often because she lives through in Edinburgh. But I will be seeing her next Saturday. We meet halfway for coffee. And she is a good friend. And I know in my heart she is a good friend. And I know in my heart that the other 4 people I cut out of my life were not good friends. They weren't particularly bad. So sometimes it's difficult to work out, is she a good friend? I don't know, she's done this and she's done that for me. But you actually know in your heart the ones to cut out, and you've got to find the strength to do it, and you'll be so grateful that you've done it. So do it and work on you and get your spark back again. Thank you.